Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The event is about to start. We encourage all in-person participants to have a seat and for all online participants to stay muted during the event and please turn on your camera. We kindly ask that you refrain from any noisy or disruptive behavior during the session to ensure that everyone can hear the speakers and participate in the discussion. We appreciate your cooperation and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the session.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the RMP Symposium 2023. We hope you had a pleasant lunch break and are ready to continue our discussions. And for our online participants, we hope you had a chance to take a break and have some lunch at your convenience.
Now that all participants are back, we will continue to our next session, which consists of 4 lecture sessions. The first lecture on the topic risk minimization approach will be delivered by Ms. Rie Matsui from Japan Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, JPMA.
The second lecture with the topic of regulator perspective from Indonesia FDA will be delivered by Dr. Anda Apotekerti Asti Isnaryani M.Pharm.
The third lecture with the topic of regulator perspective from PMDA Japan will be delivered by Ms. Akiho Kubo from PMDA Japan.
And the fourth lecture with the topic of practical examples of risk minimization planning in Japanese medical institutions will be delivered by Dr. Nokan Funokashi from Japanese Society of Hospital Pharmacists.
After these 4 lectures, we will continue with the Q&A session, and we encourage all participants to engage in the Q&A session. And for our online participants, please use the raise hand button to ask questions.
These 4 lecture sessions and Q&A session will be led by our moderator, Ms. Kaori Ogawa from PMDA. Without further ado, please help us to welcome our moderator, Ms. Ogawa Kaori.
Thank you. So I would like to moderate this session. The first lecture is given by Ms. Rie Matsui from JPMA. The title of her presentation is Risk Minimization Approach. Ms. Matsui, the floor is yours.
Sure. It's a great honor for me to present labeling, which is the most important risk minimization measures. My name is Rie Matsui. I'm a regional labeling head for APAC within the international labeling at Pfizer, as well as the head of external engagement for IOG. I'm also the leader for APAC e-labeling, EWG, as well as a chair for DIA Asian labeling community. So here we have a take-home message. At the end of my presentation, I go to these items. So this is today's agenda. I speak about 2 main topics. In the first half of my presentation, I will talk about the overview of the labeling. Mainly, I talk about how labeling is updated. In the second half of my presentation, I will speak about patient-centric product information, which is patient labeling. This slide describes the risk management cycle as Dr. Uzu mentioned in his presentation. So there is a risk management cycle, and the labeling update is in the stage of implementing risk minimization. So labeling is a key component of the submitted dossier in a common technical document. Only labeling is an official external document after the product is launched. There are a variety of the format: paper, electronic, and types, patient and healthcare professional labeling distributed according to the national requirement. I'd like to emphasize that the labeling is critical routine risk minimization measure. There are two types of the labeling. The first one is the healthcare professional labeling, where required by local regulation is that medical summation and product information intended for use by healthcare professionals. The other type, the patient labeling, which is primarily intended for the patient. This slide shows that overview of the comparison of the labeling in Japan, US, and EU. As for the healthcare professional information, the labeling the Japan has package insert. The US has prescribing information that is referred to USPI. Europe has summary of characteristics that is referred to SMPC. For patient labeling, in Japan, there are drug guide for patient and drug information sheet. In the United States, there is a medication guide and patient package insert, including information for use. In Europe, the package leaflet exists. A paper labeling in a commercial pack in the United States and Japan mainly is a healthcare professional labeling, but it is patient labeling in the Europe. So from here, let me talk about company core data sheet. According to the ICH definition, CCDS is a document prepared by marketing authorization holders containing, in addition to the safety information, material related to indication, dosing, pharmacology, and other information concerning the product. CCDS is a reference information for PBLR. Depending on the company, the role of that company core data sheet may be slightly different, but typical role of the CCDS here, the CCDS should present the company position based on the data and developed for marketing authorization worldwide. CCDS should not be a regulatory agency's position. For example, in the United States, FDA requests the company to change the wording in the labeling. But if that company disagrees to change the wording based on the scientific data, but that if the request is mandatory, USPI have to be updated. But CCDS will not be updated. CCDS serves as the basis for worldwide labeling, and CCDS should be updated as the data become available. So the CCDS is a living document. And CCDS has all information worldwide that company knows about the drug and or the minimum information that must be any prescribing information to be acceptable to the company. In general, the company has the categorization and associated time frame for labeling project. As for the safety, that there are two types of the category. One is more important safety changes, such as adding new contraindication, warning, and precaution. The other one is less important safety change, such as adding new adverse reaction or clarification of existing safety information. There is other categories, which is medical, not related to safety changes. Depending on the category, the associated time frame to submit the updated labeling to the regulatory authority has been defined. The more important safety changes should be submitted urgently. The implementation of the labeling update must be undertaken in timely manner to ensure customers have access to current information on the benefit risk profile and correct use of the product. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So, I also like to talk about that process for CCDS update. There are two typical scenarios for the updating CCDS. In the first scenario, when the possible signal is identified internally within a company, the global pharmacobusiness group investigates the signal. Then the safety team discusses if the risk is added to the CDS. If yes, the request is sent to the labeling team, and the labeling team discusses the language of the CCDS and the category of the change. Once the CCDS is internally approved, notification of the CCDS change is sent to the affiliate. In the second scenario, when the regulatory authority requests the labeling change, the request is sent to the global pharmacovigilance through the affiliate. Then the safety team and the labeling team discuss to change the CCDS. If the CCDS is decided to change, the notification is sent to the affiliate. If the CCDS is not changed, the decision is sent to the affiliate who received the request from health regulatory authority. So for example, if the PMDA requests a company in Japan to add new contraindication, and then the global team agreed to add it the CCDS, the request from only one health regulatory authority will influence to the other countries across region. So could you please look at the above of the slide? So this is the overview of the labeling. The global headquarters developed update the CCDS, and the CCDS is sent to the affiliate. Ideally, all local label should be updated based on the CCDS. However, in the real world, there are a lot of complicated circumstances. In the Asian market, depending on the product, the local labeling should follow that local language for major market, such as JPI, USPI, EUSMPC. In that case, for example, the USPI is updated based on the CCDS. Then the China PI, for example, is updated based on the USPI. Many of the multinational companies are CDS-driven companies. There are two triggers to change local labeling. The first trigger is change to the CCDS and or reference country labeling. The second trigger is the local factor, such as regulatory authorities request, other requests, such as regional change in an excipient or company address change. Okay. In some countries, could you please wait a moment? Technical issues happened. Let me continue. In some countries, the local healthcare professional labeling is directly controlled by CCDS. For example, like Japan, US, EU, but not limited. There are some countries in which the local label does not directly follow the CCDS, but the reference country label. In these countries, the product local label is primarily depending on the reference country label. What is the difference between the countries that follow the CCDS and ones that follow the reference country label is timing. Since such dependent countries usually do not implement CCDS changes immediately, but have to wait until the local labeling update has been approved in the reference country. So for example, the China PI followed that EU SMPC. EU SMPC is updated based on the CDS. The updated EU SMPC is submitted to EMEA. It will take a couple of months for EMEA to review it and approved. When that SMPC is approved, then the local level China PI will be able to start to update. Therefore, some delay may happen. So let's move on to the next agenda, patient-centric product information, patient labeling, and health literacy. It is reported that so there are 3 key related issues for patient: accessibility, understanding, and adherence. It is reported that more than 4,500 deaths have resulted from not taking medication correctly. Also, it is reported that 69 of medication-related hospital admissions are due to poor adherence. I was really shocked to see the number. So, in fact, adherence is critical for patient safety. In order to understand the product information, the patient must be able to easily access the patient labeling first. In order to adhere to the product information, patient must understand the labeling and have the information available to them in convenient format. This table shows that current regulation and guidance for that patient-centric product information for prescription medicine. As for Japan and US, the medication guide are required for selected product. In Europe, patient-centric labeling is available for all products. This is a comparison table which shows that structure of the patient-centric product with the Japan, EU, and the US. The structure and the section name are quite similar among these 3 regions. The patient-friendly dictionary is available in Japan and Europe. Let me share that patient-friendly dictionary later. I'd like to also talk about the drug guide for patients in Japan more. The purpose is to protect patient and their family in order to ensure their correct understanding of the drug and inform them of potential adverse reaction so that patient and their family can detect serious adverse reaction early. For early detection of the serious adverse reaction, it is required to prepare this document that have information on the appropriate use. For example, such as the drug that has a boxed warning in the labeling. The drug guide for patient is available from PMDA and the company website. The company usually do not provide it as a printed document, and that document should be written in patient-friendly language and should be written in a high school student reading level. Here we have an actual example for patient-centric language. In the left-hand side, the text is from healthcare professionals that describe, for example, the rhabdomyolysis, Stevens-Johnson syndrome, and lupus-like syndrome. In the right-hand side, the text is from patient labeling, which describe the subjective symptoms of that adverse reaction. How many patients do understand what rhabdomyolysis is, Stevens-Johnson syndrome is? Even though that adverse reaction is informed to the patient, but if the patient do not understand what it is, it's not helpful. That's why in a patient medication guide, the subjective symptoms for adverse reactions are listed. So this is a dictionary of that patient-friendly term, which is available in the PMDA website. The first column lists the medical term for adverse reaction, like a valvular disease of the heart. And the second column lists the subjective symptoms of its adverse reaction, like a breathless, short breath, easy to tired, edema, and so on, so that patient can easily understand. There is a patient-friendly dictionary in the EU as well. Let me touch upon the health literacy. Health literacy refers broadly to the ability of individual to gain access to, understand, and use information in ways which promote and maintain good health for themselves, their family, and their communities. But the health literacy is an evolving concept. There are several different definitions. The core principle of the health literacy consists of readability, understandability, and actionability. This is my last slide. As a take-home message, the implementation of the labeling update must be undertaken in a timely manner to ensure customers have access to the current information on the benefit-risk profile and correct use of the product. CCDS represents the company position based on the data and developed for marketing authorization worldwide. Poor adherence is a major safety issue, placing a large burden on the national healthcare system. In order to improve understanding by patient labeling should be written in a patient-friendly language. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Matsui, for your presentation. The next lecture is delivered by Mrs. Triasti Isnaryani from Indonesian FDA. The title of her presentation is Current Status of RMP and Regulators' Perspectives in Indonesia. So, Ms. Triasti, the floor is yours.
Okay, distinguished Professor Ari Yanuar, Professor Randi, and Professor Mahdi from University of Indonesia, distinguished Mr. Uzu, and all team from PMDA, thank you for coming to Indonesia. Distinguished representative from JAIF, Ms. Sayuri, and also distinguished all team from ASEAN Secretariat. Thank you for coming today, and Miss Sylvia already. Okay, I would like to share the current status of RMP and how Indonesia implement. from regulators' perspective in Indonesia. Yeah. Okay. Next slide. We would like to ask all of us to take home message to our presentation, to give an overview of the status of the RMP in Indonesia. Okay, next slide. Our outline of my presentation. The introduction about Indonesian FDA, our Badan POM, Indonesian RMP, current status, and also the conclusion. Okay, next slide. So, I think we already know from Indonesian member state and our colleague from industry in Indonesia or from university that this is our structure, Indonesian FDA, whether while we lead Indonesian FDA led by chairperson, and there is deputy 1, deputy 2, deputy 3, and deputy 4, and for medicine atau risk management RMP, risk management program for medicines is conducted or control managed by deputy for drug, narcotics, psychotropic, precursor, and zat addictive, hazardous addictive substance. And Indonesian FDA responsible to control all the medicine, traditional medicine, supplement, cosmetic and processed food in 33 provincial office. We have office in 33 province and 30, already right now is 34 province in the headquarters of province, and the 40 district office, 39 now, and we have approximately 5,000 human resource or staff. Okay, next slide. This is the authority of drug control, where we manage or control since the product was being developed, since R&D and start from clinical trial, and then medicine is being product in the manufacture, and to get the marketing authorization. And after that, after the medicines being marketed in the community, the control still going, still conducted, and we're doing like quality control, post-marketing surveillance, pharmacovigilance, labeling control, like our speaker just now mentioned, e-labeling also now in pilot project in Indonesia, try to be held, try to be conducted, but still pilot project to see how our community ready for this system. And in the post-market, we also doing the promotion, adversarial control. Okay, next slide. So, yeah. In our drug regulatory framework, we already assessed by WHO and RA benchmarking on 2018, and there is already follow-up visit on 2021. And WHO recognized that Indonesian FDA has the mature function for conducting drug evaluation for marketing authorization, which includes evaluation of efficacy and safety, quality and product information, ensuring GMP implementation. And for post-market control, Indonesian FDA also has already been assessed for the function for conducting inspection of drug manufacturing, distribution, and service facilities for monitoring GMP and GDP compliance, good distribution practice compliance, sampling and testing, including lot release for vaccine, drug labeling and advertisement control, pharmacovigilance, and special for vaccine, we control AEFI, adverse event following immunization. So according to the 9 function of WHO and RA scope, Indonesia has collaborated with other institutions such as AFI. We cooperate with committee AFI under Ministry of Health. Okay, next slide. So we come to the definition between pharmacovigilance and risk management plan. So maybe sometime we mix up and between what is the difference between pharmacovigilance and risk management plan. Actually, risk management plan is a part of pharmacovigilance that conducted in pre-market phase. So in our regulation, we regulate the RMP that should be submitted by manufacturer when they register their product. So based on the definition, RMP is the document that describes the current knowledge about the safety and efficacy of medicinal product. The RMP provides key information on plans for studies and other activities to gain more knowledge about the safety and efficacy of the medicine. In practice, the RMP is a part of pharmacovigilance activities relating to the detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of adverse effect. So the vigilance is now the very important things in medicine area, because as we know, medicine is not only give the benefit but also give the risk. So why after pharmaceutical manufacturer get the MAH, marketing authorization holder, they mandatory conducted the pharmacovigilance activity, that including the RMP. So next slide. This following the regulation, what pharmacovigilance should be conducted by pharmaceutical industry and also healthcare professional. From Japan experience, I heard from Prof. Rani just now that they get reporting more from industry than healthcare professional. But in Indonesia, so the reporting from pharmaceutical industry should be increased. Still should be increased. Yeah. Okay, this actually all the regulation. Next slide. How about the regulation on RMP implementation? Next slide. Yeah, we already regulate the RMP on the head of Indonesian FDA or NRDFC regulation number 24 year 2017 on criteria and procedure of the drug regulation on Article 33. that mention the applicant must also submit risk management plan. And this document about risk management plan, we make a detailed regulation in Indonesian FDA regulation number 15 year to 2022 on pharmacovigilance implementation. On Article 4, that mentioned that pharmaceutical industry must prepare risk management plan document from the product development process until the product is distributed. The risk management plan document is part of the product registration document. So I think already mentioned very clear in this regulation. Okay, next slide. So how is the implementation of the tools for risk management? The tools is conducting during evaluation for marketing authorization. Our colleague from drug registration conduct this evaluation, and the result for risk management is includes in box warning, revision of product information, that require additional studies, require specific monitoring system for particular adverse drug reaction. And in Indonesian FDA regulation number 15 year to 2022 about pharmacovigilance implementation also mentioned that pharmaceutical industry must prepare risk management plan document as part of registration document. So the RMP must implement for the following products, like new drugs, biological products including biosimilars, and certain generic drugs. Certain generic drugs, the RMP is required if the innovator product does not have RMP and safety issue is identified which requires activities to minimize risk, or the use of generic drugs can lead to new safety problem, for example medication error or off-label use. Maybe you can mention some of the generic drug then can make off-label use, And then RMP also must implement in drug they may increase of the safety risk. Drug they may increase of the safety risk. Okay, next slide. So what is the existing condition right now? The current system still have some weakness that we need to repair, we need to improve. There is still lack awareness of the applicant or marketing authorization holder to submit risk management document during registration process. So maybe Japan experience can also share how PMDA can push how PMDA can increase the awareness for all of us to submit the risk management document, and also still have lack of systemic follow-up to confirm the safety concern in a risk management plan. And then no requirement for MAH to follow up on a population not studied in clinical trials. Oh yeah, I remember that there is still another 10 member state, ASEAN member state also present in this forum. Maybe you can also share how RMP is implemented in your country. Okay, next slide. So why should Indonesian FDA implement RMP? So we consider about the necessity of this RMP. National guideline is already already processed, yeah, already developed national guideline for for RMP already developed, right? Under process. Yeah, maybe Bu Desi can add some information, yeah. So, but right now Indonesian FDA already currently received the RMP document, so we need we already need adopt international best practice into the regulatory evaluation of drugs in Indonesia. Yeah, in order to support a life cycle approach to drug vigilance, is very important, vigilance for medicines, enhance the quality of Indonesian FDA regulatory assessment, to support Indonesian FDA timely access to safe, efficacious and high quality drugs, to support ongoing evaluation of information that could have an impact on the benefit risk profile of drug products, and to align drug vigilance with international best practice. Yeah, the most important thing is we need the data of vigilance, pharmacovigilance. The data from pharmacovigilance is very important to get the safety signal, yeah, to get safety signal from the medicine that already being used widely in community. Okay, so okay, next slide. This follow this slide. I hope it the so little, so big or so little. I'm really sorry that if you cannot read the words in the slide. So this is the example from one of the RMP documents submitted by pharmaceutical industries. The format consists of product review, safety specification, contain information about epidemiology of indication and target population, non-clinic information of safety profile, clinical trial review, population which not include in clinical trial, post-marketing experience, identify and potential risk, summary of safety issue, and also contain pharmacovigilance plan. This section aims to discuss how the pharmaceutical industry plans to identify safety specification. The RMP document also contain post-approval efficacy study plan, risk minimization activities, and summary of activities in risk management plan. Yeah, post-approval efficacy, sometimes for some drugs, we still require, it is required post-approval studies and long-term post-approval efficacy data. Okay, next slide. So the challenge in RMP implementation in Indonesia, specifically in Indonesia, there is some challenge in how to evaluate a risk management plan for a medicinal product, guidance that can be referred to when reviewing an RMP for a medicinal product, and there is still some still increasing the human resource capacity, need increment of human resource capacity. Okay, so for the conclusion, in Indonesia, RMP document is an important component of comprehensive product vigilance framework. There is still, next slide, please. There is still some challenge faced by Indonesia in RMP implementation. Indonesian FDA proposed PMDA or PMDA to give information about RMP implementation, especially in Japan, how to evaluate the RMP documents, how to increase the skill and knowledge that are needed for evaluation of the RMP document. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Triasti, for a very informative presentation. The third lecture is given by Ms. Akiho Kubo from PMDA. The title of her presentation is Regulator Perspective from PMDA Japan. Please hold one moment. We're preparing for the next presentation. So, Ms. Kubo, the floor is yours.
Thank you for introducing. Hello, everyone. I'm going to speak about Japanese regulators' perspective. So before starting my presentation, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Akiho Kubo, and I'm a member of the Office of Farm Business 2. After graduating from university, I've worked as a hospital pharmacist for 2 years, and now it has been about 4 years since I joined the PMDA. Mainly, I'm dealing with blood products and vaccines. And I would also like to share some background information on PMDA. This slide shows outline of the safety divisions. The Office of Informatics and Management for Safety is in charge of collection, sorting, administration, and release of safety information, such as receipt of adverse drug reactions, telephone counseling for consumers. And the Office of Farm Business 1 and 2 are in charge of safety evaluation and safety measures for drugs. The Office of Manufacturing Quality and Vigilance for Medical Devices is in charge of the safety evaluation and safety measures for the medical devices. The main focus here is the Office of Farm Business 1 and 2, which I joined. The Office of Farm Business 1 covers the field of gastrointestinal drug, immunosuppressive drug, the drug for metabolic disorders, cardiovascular drugs, anti-Parkinsonian drug, reproductive system drug, and so on. On the other hand, the Office of Farm Business 2 covers the field of antibacterial drug, antiviral drug, anti-allergy drug, anti-neoplastic drug, blood products, vaccine, and so on. This is take-home message. Later, I will show this slide again. And the topic of my presentation is review of risk minimization plan and risk minimization approach from a regulator's perspective. So let me start with a review of risk management plan. This figure shows how we give consideration to RMP in the process of a new drug application submission to obtain approval and the market launch. MRH started to have a discussion with a review team shortly after new drug application submission and set the final version of the RMP concretely 1 month before launching their product into the market. By submitting RMP at the time of a new drug application, it enables the active discussion, and it will be possible to extract a more appropriate safety certification. Even after the RMP has been developed, it should be revised depending on the post-marketing situations, and the contents of the RMP should be revised to maintain an appropriate benefit-risk balance of the drug. The example of the timing of RMPs reviewed are the following. First, when the contents of the safety specification need to be changed, and as a predetermined milestone in the RMP, and at time of periodic reporting based on the regulations or as directed by the PMDA. The last one is at the time of the reexamination application for new drugs. The review office and the pharmacovigilance office are formed for each disease field and are engaged in the operation respectively. The risk managers work as a liaison between the review office and the pharmacovigilance office, and they are responsible for sharing concern raised between clinical development and post-marketing safety measures. As a part of the review team, risk manager is a key person to develop an RMP. In addition, as a part of the safety team, risk manager engaged in assessment and analysis of available safety information, including the result of pharmacovigilance activities, and plan further safety actions such as labeling changes and RMP updates. The RMP workflow is shown on this slide. The important thing is a relationship of safety specification, pharmacovigilance activities, and risk minimization activities. RMP is repeatedly prepared, implemented, evaluated, and reviewed throughout the life cycle of the product. The main focus of this session is risk minimization approaches, and I will explain some of the risk minimization practice from a regulatory perspective. So let's move on to the risk minimization approach from regulators' perspective. Drug risk communication is to promote the proper use of medical drug through the exchange of risk information. PMDA collects safety information, including adverse reaction report from marketing authorization holders, healthcare professionals, and patients. After scientific evaluation, PMDA and MHLW will consider proper safety measures. Safety information is provided to healthcare professionals and the public in a timely manner. So I will introduce some of the risk minimization activity, and this slide shows the package insert. The package insert are official document which provides basic information about medical products. The main target user is healthcare professional. Especially package insert for over-the-counter drug and the pharmacist intervention required medicines are patient targeted. There is also an RMP which outlines a risk management strategy for medical products throughout its lifetime in a single document. This is a drug guide prepared to enable more rapid detection of serious adverse reactions. Important information is provided to patients in a more easily understood manner. From here, risk communication tools which are released after the review of safety measures based on adverse reaction report data collected will be presented. The most urgent report information is a yellow letter. The yellow letter is an emergency alert to healthcare professionals and automated measures such as restricting the use of a drug. The blue letter is alert requiring switcher disseminated. Currently, no English translated yellow letter is available because no yellow letter is issued after we start the English translations. Then, if we consider that the repeated alert is required, PMDA will issue the PMDA alert for proper use of drug and PMDA medical safety information. Both are written in an easy-to-understand way using illustrations. These documents are posted on the PMDA website. This is the top page of the PMDA website in Japanese, and we can access to a list of risk communication tools. Some information is provided in English as well. This slide shows a result of searching the package insert information. Not only the package insert, but also the other risk communication tools can be found in one page. And this is a flowchart of providing information. When MHLW instruct the marketing authorization holders to revise the precaution of package insert and other materials, marketing authorization holder will explain it to healthcare professional directly or by direct email. At the same time, this information is posted on the PMD website and it is sent to healthcare professional by PMDA Medinabi. PMDA Medinabi is an email service which quickly delivers information, such as publication of yellow or blue letter, revision of package insert, recall information, and new drug approval information, so on. The number of subscribers have been increasing continuously, and about 200,000 people use PMDA Medinabi as of September 2021. Anyone can subscribe for free, and each subscriber can choose what kind of information is obtained. Through my presentation, I emphasize the importance of the benefit-risk balance of the drug. So it is essential to manage risks continuously throughout the life cycle to ensure that their benefit outweighs the risk. Drugs are always at risk of adverse drug reactions. Therefore, the proper management is required to minimize potential risks. We achieve this by the proper use of drug, provision and collection of the latest accurate information, and detection of adverse drug reaction at an early stage. This is a take-home message again. You will learn the following. The risk management plan should be revised to maintain an appropriate benefit-risk balance of the drug. And there are many approaches to minimize the risk of the drug depending on the severity of the risk, the healthcare setting, and indication, and the pharmaceutical form and the target population. And finally, safety information must be provided to healthcare professionals and public in a timely manner. So thank you for attention, and also thank you for giving me a great opportunity to come here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kubo, for a very clear presentation. The last lecture is delivered by Dr. Ryokan Funakoshi from the Japanese Society of Hospital Pharmacists. The title of his presentation is Practical Examples of Risk Minimization Planning in Japanese Medical Institutions. We're going to play his video.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryokan Funakoshi, and I'm a hospital pharmacist at a medical institution called Kameda Medical Center in Japan. I would like to express my gratitude involved for giving me this precious opportunity. The subject of my presentation is to introduce actual examples of risk minimization activity at Japanese medical institution. Thank you for your time for 20 minutes. The COI is as follows. Please confirm. Kameda Medical Center is located in Japan, about 6,000 kilometers away from Jakarta, Indonesia. Because of unavoidable work, I will give a lecture of the web. Kameda Medical Center is located in Kamoga City, Southern Chiba Prefecture, next to Tokyo, Japan. The appearance of Kameda Medical Center is as shown on the slide. It is a private general hospital, 917 beds, 3,000 outpatients per day. There are 100 pharmacists and 70 dispensing assistants in the pharmacy department. As a regional core hospital, we provide a wide range of medical care every day, from emergency care to pediatric pregnant women and cancer genome medicine. In addition, we have received JCI and ISO accreditations outside of Japan as external functional evaluation. Now let's talk about the use of risk management plan in medical institutions. In the 10 years since its publication of RMP in Japan, the RMP has been used jointly by pharmaceutical-related organizations to enlighten medical professionals, mainly pharmacists, and to introduce examples of its use. In Japan's RMP, there is a potential risk which is not specified at a time of clinical trials and might cause impossibility and missing information as patient group, but that was not included in clinical trials because of exclusion criteria. Medical professional reports side effects to pharmaceutical company and regulatory authorities as pharmacovigilance plan, and additional safety measures and enlightenment are carried out to minimize the spread of damage, so that many nations and patients will not be disadvantaged. On the other hand, it's important to avoid side effects and prevent aggravation of identified risk on the patient in front of us, especially of identified risk as risk minimization activities. From here, we will introduce specific examples of how pharmacists at medical institutions are actually using RMP. This is an example of an adoption stage as utilization case 1. When adopting a new drug at the hospital, we ask the pharmaceutical company to submit an RMP as one of the materials to be submitted. RMP is used as a source of information when understanding risk associated with the product. In particular, we discuss identified risk and potential risk, and for the special population as a missing information that was excluded during clinical trials, which risk can be monitored at medical institutions and which risks are difficult to monitor. When those drugs are actually adopted in the hospital, we make a template in electronic medical records so that not only pharmacists but also prescribing doctors and administering nurses are able to recognize the identified risks and potential risks in the medical field as a pharmacovigilance activity and register them when they occur. Here is an electronic chart template. From the template in the electronic medical record, it can be selected yes, no, or unknown for each ADR term. If it was selected unknown, we have set it to be choose the reason, as it will be written like this in the medical record. For information can be shared not only with pharmacists, but also with doctors and other medical staff about what the pharmacists are focusing on when monitoring side effects using RMP. The expected effects of RMP are summarized. 1. Pharmaceutical companies provide information such as RMP package insert and proper use guide. 2. At medical institutions, pharmacists in particular are expected to monitor ADR based on RMP, etc., and to detect and deal with risks early. 3. The ADR will be reported to the regulatory authorities and the company. 4. The pharmaceutical company evaluates the correct information, consult with the regulatory authorities, and promptly reflect the necessary issues in the package insert and RMP. This will improve the quality and quantity of ADR information and strengthen safety measures, especially immediately after marketing. This is one of the most important expected effects of RMP. A cooperation among pharmaceutical companies, regulatory authorities, and medical institutions is essential for effective utilization of RMP. Utilization case 2 is when administering drugs to the patient in hospital wards, etc. RMP is used when monitoring ADR. The information on the risks described in the RMP and material for patient is used for the early detection of side effects. It is also used to focus on monitoring patient population described in important missing information of RMP. For example, let's consider a medicinal product. The administration to the elderly 65 years and older is considered to be important missing information in RMP and is set as a priority investigation item in post-marketing survey. One way to use this is to focus on monitoring elderly patients. I explain pharmacovigilance before risk minimization activities. For pharmacovigilance activities, 1. The Kameda Medical Center established a department where it is responsible for reporting of ADR. 2. Future more by assigning pharmacists to all wards. It has been able to detect ADR that has been missed and report them to the PMDA. As you can see for the graph, the number of reports has increased. 3. Currently, we oblige a physician and nurse to undergo retraining ADR report and newly hired staff to undergo training upon at the time of hiring. Now I will explain the main subject, the use of risk minimization plan. I will introduce a case to an inpatient. As an example, let's take a commonly encountered ADR. In recent years, many biological have been marketed. Risk management plan for PD-1 antibody Opdivo, an immune checkpoint inhibitor. Opdivo frequently causes an infusion reaction at time of infusion. It is set as an important identifier risk. Performance status, respiratory status, defecation, appetite, fatigue, a medical history of autoimmune disease, etc. will be checked before administration of immune checkpoint inhibitor to patients. For the early detection of IRAE, it is important to listen to the patient's main complaints and conduct timely additional tests in addition to routine tests. Therefore, a patient introduction to fully understand the symptom of IRA is criteria for ADR management. In particular, symptoms such as fatigue and weight loss due the IRA are similar to systematic symptoms due to cancer, so caution the required. Risk minimization profit. For most biological, unless the infusion reaction becomes severe. If the first dose is well tolerated, subsequent dose can be reduced to 30 minutes. In my hospital experience, among patients that the first infusion reaction was well tolerated by the pharmacist's suggestion. The second infusion can be reduced to 30 minutes in 5 patients of 28 patients. Proper risk management maximizes patient benefit. By shortening the infusion time, I can serve dinner for my children at home and eat them together, minimizing the risk of infusion reaction and getting closer to normal life before administration of anti-cancer drug. A proper risk minimization activity will maximize the benefit for patients. I will introduce a case to an outpatient. As an case, let's take a commonly encountered area. In recent years, drugs for treating peripheral neuropathic pain have become commercially available. Pregabalin or mirogabalin. What I've shown is mirogabalin Tarige risk management plan. Dizziness and drowsiness are frequently seen after taking Tarige. It is set as an identified risk. Additional risk minimization materials are referred to as RMP materials and are marked with the RMP mark and clearly distinguished from other materials. Materials for healthcare professionals are marked with the Risk Management Plan mark, and materials for patients are marked with RMP. The RMP materials were prepared based on the discussion with PMDA, and since April 2019, the RMP materials have also been posted on the PMDA website. Utilization Case 3 is an example of using RMP materials. Inpatient and outpatient infusion chemotherapy can be monitored on the spot, but ADRs are more likely to occur at home for outpatients who are back to home. It has been reported that ADR occur frequently during the period of gradual increase other than days 1 and 2, such as Tarize. These slides show an example of follow-up through online. Japanese pharmacists follow up online for the identified risks of dizziness and somnolence. Effectiveness of risk minimization planning practice. Case 1, female, 83 years. On day 7 of mirogabalin treatment, the dizziness becomes stronger, and the patient wants to stop taking the drug, but consult with the pharmacist. The pharmacist will ask the doctor if it is okay to reduce the dose. Explain reduced dose with doctor's consent. The dizziness was alleviated and the pain did not increase. Then the patient visited at the next time with continuing the medication. Case 2. Female 65 years. After taking mirogabalin, Asean-Japan occurred and the amount of time spent sleeping during the day increased. On day 10 of mirogabalin treatment, the pharmacist called the patient and she asked Salman, with the consent of the doctor. The pharmacist explained the doctor reduction until the next visit. The patient's Salman was albeit the pain was not increased. She resumed her daily life, and she visits the next time with continuing the medication. In this way, the pharmacovigilance plan and risk minimization activity requires the activities of medical professionals, especially pharmacists. Finally, I would like to talk about my expectations for ASEAN. The clinical trial for Tarlige, which are referred to earlier, has been jointly developed in Asia. The data is Asia is used to create the risk management plan. Therefore, by promoting post-marketing PV jointly in Asia, the missing information may be covered at an early stage after marketing. After marketing Tarlige, a new drug developed in Asia, it became clear that people with impaired renal function were more likely to experience dizziness and thermals. New drug developed in Asia can be achieved post-marketing challenged by co-promoting PV, even if information is missing. As a result, by the use of drug information by pharmacists in AMS, risks are minimized and the personal benefits of all patients are maximized. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Dr. Funakoshi, for an informative presentation. Now, all of the presentation were delivered. From now on, we would like to move on to the Q&A session. We'll have an English-Japanese interpreter online, and if necessary, she will do the consecutive interpretation. So the lecturer, could you go to the podium? Yes, thank you. And also, Dr. Funakoshi is joining online. I hope we could see his face on the screen as well. Thank you. So for those who want to ask questions, please come at the front of the microphone. And those who are attending online, please use the raise hand button, not from the chat box, please. So, does anyone have any question? Oh, yes, lady on the front. So tell us your name, affiliation, followed by the question, and to whom you would like to ask the question to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. My name is Nonik Cherry Dwita from PMIB, Fakulty Medicine, Universitas Indonesia. Thank you for your excellent and very clear presentation regarding Indonesian RMP. Where did I want to ask to Indonesian FDA? Where did the Indonesian FDA adopt the procedure risk management plan does it refer more to from ICH or AOCD or Japan RMP? Thank you.
Directly answer? Or we? Oh, okay. Thank you for the question from. Sorry, I didn't catch your name, but Faculty of Medicine, University of Indonesia. So Indonesian FDA adopt from ICH ya, RMP. Oh, EMA, European Medicine Agency. We adopt the RMP procedure from EMA, European Medicine Agency. Okay, thank you.
Yes, you may ask the question.
Thank you for our second question. Are pharmacovigilance and risk management data a requirement for drug marketing to Asian or Japan countries?
Could you repeat? Japan?
Are pharmacovigilance and risk management data requirement for the drug marketing drug to
get marketing
Asian,
authorization.
In Asian and Japan countries.
Oh, Bu Juli kan? Yeah, I will answer and my colleague, my team will complete the answer. Yeah, if not, I'm not mistaken, your question is whether the pharmacovigilance data or RMP data or risk management data to get the marketing authorization is being used to get the marketing authorization to market in Indonesia or to Asian countries. Oh, yeah. I think it's this the different things, yeah. But every pharmacovigilance is, as I mentioned in our presentation, the RMP document is a part of the document of evaluation, for being evaluated to get marketing authorization to market in Indonesia. Our marketing authorization published or released by Indonesian FDA to get marketing authorization, or Indonesia phrase we call it nomor izin edar gitu ya, to be marketed in Indonesia only. So with for to be marketed in other ASEAN countries or Japan, there is another procedure, and some of our business process already harmonized or reliance, but also there is still some evaluation process. Bu Julie maybe can add some additional information, or other colleague from Indonesian FDA, please.
Thank you, Ibu Asti. Thank you for the question. Okay, can it be heard? Okay. So actually, just to add a bit from the explanation that's just conveyed by Ibu Asti. Yes, we are required. The RMP is required in Indonesia as part of the requirement for the registration. We can see this regulation in our Badan POM regulation number 15 sorry, because this is the amendment. So the basic is number 17. However, it has already amended into number 27. that has been issued in 2022. So please, if you would like to refer to the regulation, you could search or browse in our websites of Badan POM. So in principle, it's the same what Ibu Asti said, that it is required. However, when the manufacturer would like to apply to another country, they should comply with the regulation in that particular country. So that's just a little additional from Ibu Asti explanation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is it already clear? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any raising hand from the online. And are there any? Yes, the ladies.
Yeah, thank you very much for the time. I'd like to ask one question to Dr. Funakoshi about the safety system report in hospital in Kameda Medical Center. So what is the difference between the safety reporting system in Kameda Medical Center with the yellow card that we know globally used, and also including in BPOM itself? We also have electronic safety report system through a website of BPOM and also mobile apps. Yeah, what's the difference? Or maybe is more specific, the content, and also user-friendly for the pharmacist or medical doctor in Kameda Medical Center, rather than the known yellow card. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the question was to Dr. Funakoshi. Dr. Funakoshi, could you answer to the question?
私、船越先生の方にメディカル、医療センターの方にお聞きをしたいと思うのですが、この報告システムについてのお話をお聞きしたいというふうに思います。安全性のシステムについてなのですが、例えばこの報告システムにおきましては、そちらの病院の方で例えばイエローカード、こういったものが報告をされていたりですとか、または何か電子的な報告システムというのが、この御施設の方に、もうすでにあったりするのでしょうか。あとはモバイルという形で何か報告システムというのが設定されたりしていますでしょうか。あと何か統計的な数字というのはございますでしょうか。あとこれは例えば薬剤師さんや医師の方に使い勝手がいいようなものになっていますでしょうか。といったものが私の質問ということになります。Thank you for your questions. There are a lot actually.
一つ目が、まず、ドクターもナースもファーマシストも、全員 BYOD でスマートフォンを持っていて、スマートフォンでレポートを提出することができます。ただ日本ではそこからダイレクトに PMDA に出しているわけではなくて、一度その病院の中の副作用情報センターで評価をしてから PMDA に電子提出をしています。
So, Pastor, my answer to the first of your questions. First of all, so our doctors and nurses and pharmacists, so every medical staff member working at the Kameda Center, medical center, have DYOD, so they have mobile phones and they can submit a report, but in Japan, we do not make reports directly to PMDA yet. So first, so internally, so we have ADR, Side Effects Information Center, and those medical staff members report to the center first. Then electronically, so we will make reports to PMDA. This is the flow.
Thank you. It means there is 2 steps here. First, go to the medical center, yeah, and they do the assessment first, including the causality assessment, and after that, send it, yeah, if it's identified as ADR, so it will be sent to the PMDA. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
はい、どうもありがとうございます。こう2ステップを取ってらっしゃるということですよね。まずはメディカルセンター内の方での情報を取り、何かそこに部門があるんだと思うんですが、その後に、その ADR をこのベリファイして、そして報告をされているという理解ですけれども。
はい、そうです。で、日本での副作用報告基準でCTCAE のバージョン、5.0 以降のもので、グレード評価を基本的にした上で、グレード2から3、そこら辺の部分からを積極的に PMDA に報告を上げています。そのためイエローカードみたいなハイアラートだったりハイリスク薬ではなくて、起きた有害事象、副作用のグレードによって、PMDA に出す優先順位を変えています。
Yes, your understanding is correct. And actually, so in Japan, so we have this ADR collection, information collection center, and we make evaluations for the grades for the CTCAE version 5 or above. So basically speaking, so we are proactively evaluating all the ADR reports whose grades are 2 or 3 or above. Then so those ones will be reported to PMDA. And we do not use yellow cards such as high alert or high risk drugs, but instead, so we are using those grades that I just mentioned for evaluating ADRs. We give priority for the ADRs reported.
Clear. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. So since we were running out of time, we would like to close this session. Thank you very much for active discussion, and thank you all the speakers for your presentation and the Q&A session. Now I would like to pass the microphone back to MC.
Thank you, Ms. Rie Matsui, Dr. Anda Apoteker Tri Asti Isnariani, M.Pharm, Ms. Akiho Kubo, and Dr. Yokan Funakoshi for sharing your expertise in this third session, and also to Ms. Kaori Ogawa for moderating this session. We would like to take a short break for coffee and refreshment. For our online participants, you are encouraged to stay in the Zoom room and keep your microphones and cameras off during the break. And for all in-person participants, please enjoy the coffee and refreshment that we provided at the same place like the first coffee break.
And we would like to inform you that we will continue with the next agenda at 3:15 p.m. Please return to the session after the break. Thank you.
For many years, Universitas Indonesia has been recognized as a world-leading and globally respected research university. Universitas Indonesia continues to pursue the highest achievements in terms of innovation, development, and novelty in science. Universitas Indonesia has 3 study clusters with 14 faculties, 2 postgraduate programs, and a vocational education program. During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 to early 2022, Universitas Indonesia has established a health-promoting university program that enables student involvement in controlling and promoting health to their cohorts. Universitas Indonesia has succeeded in becoming the best campus in Indonesia and keeps pushing itself constantly to be in the high rankings of world universities. In addition, Universitas Indonesia has conducted research collaborations with many institutions, foreign partners, and universities. In 2021, more than 2,000 Universitas Indonesia students participated in student exchange programs abroad, as well as more than 1,000 inbound students studying at Universitas Indonesia. Not only students, but lecturers also go on inbound and outbound teaching visits. More than 800 lecturers teach at other campuses abroad.
Universitas Indonesia actively collaborates with many world-renowned universities and several education and research associations,
as well as collaborations with faculty networks.
To get higher chance for you to win the competitions, you must develop your own personal capabilities beyond your academic qualifications.
Being a UI graduate brings a lot of opportunities for me since I was shaped by great lecturers, friends, seniors, and organizational experiences, both academically and socially, which I'm really thankful for.
Green Metric, one of Universitas Indonesia's innovations that has been widely recognized internationally as the world's first university ranking based on a high commitment to manage the campus environment.
Universitas Indonesia needs to build constructive interactions between departments based on the principles of togetherness, transparency, accountability, responsibility, independence, and fairness. The essence of the university's social responsibility is how we address through teaching, research, and public affairs participation so that we can become a place of hope for future development. In addition, how does Universitas Indonesia makes a real contribution to the government through in-depth analysis related to strategic issues and national policies.
Innovation and entrepreneurship are important components of Universitas Indonesia's intellectual ecosystem.
In our engineering labs, we not only conduct research, we also innovate in areas including but not limited to medical instruments, scientifically advanced designs, and electric vehicles. The process begins when University of Indonesia academics identify a problem and come up with a solution. University of Indonesia academics who come from different fields of study seek solutions through various research materials, research and creative innovation, until we find a solution to make an impact on society. We have built a startup culture over the past few years that inspires academics to have a problem-solving approach.
And for more than a decade, we have been working hand in hand with government, state-owned enterprises, and private enterprises in empowering small medium-scale business sector and entrepreneurship development as a part of Sustainable Development Goal.
We learn, we do research,
we innovate,
and now we are transforming.
Universitas Indonesia, towards an entrepreneurial university.
Becoming a pharmacist is my destiny. Being there for people is a must in this job. But it is not that simple. It all started from Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Indonesia, the place where I learned. Everything that I learned at the Faculty of Pharmacy Universitas Indonesia keep inspiring me to be forever dedicated.
Farmasi UI didirikan sebagai jurusan dalam naungan Fakultas Ilmu Pasti dan Ilmu Alam atau FIPIA UI pada tahun 1965 di Jalan Diponegoro, Jakarta Pusat. Farmasi UI berpindah lokasi ke Salemba pada tahun 1968. Pada tahun 1982, FIPIA UI berubah nama menjadi Fakultas Matematika dan Ilmu Pengetahuan Alam atau yang dikenal dengan FMIPA. Pada tahun 1986, Farmasi UI berpindah ke kampus UI Depok. Pada tahun 2005, jurusan Farmasi UI menjadi Departemen Farmasi FMIPA UI. Pada tahun 2011, Departemen Farmasi FMIPA UI menjadi Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia. Dan pada tanggal 29 November ditetapkan sebagai Hari Dies Natalis Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia. Farmasi adalah ilmu yang mempelajari tentang identifikasi, seleksi, preservasi, kombinasi, aksi farmakologi, analisis, dan standarisasi obat dan bahan obat, serta cara distribusi, penyimpanan, dan penggunaan yang tepat dan aman.
Visi dari program studi sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia adalah menjadi program studi sarjana farmasi yang unggul dan terkemuka di tingkat nasional dan regional. Sedangkan misi dari program studi sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia adalah yang pertama, menyelenggarakan pendidikan dan pengajaran berbasis riset yang berkualitas di bidang farmasi. Kedua, menyelenggarakan kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat yang relevan dengan bidang farmasi untuk memenuhi kebutuhan masyarakat. Yang ketiga, menciptakan iklim akademik yang mampu mendukung perwujudan visi program studi sarjana farmasi Universitas Indonesia. Program studi sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia terdiri dari 1. Program studi sarjana kelas reguler. Kedua, program studi sarjana kelas paralel. Ada berbagai jenis fasilitas laboratorium yang terdapat pada Prodi Sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia yang terdiri dari Laboratorium Farmasetika Steril, Laboratorium Mikrobiologi dan Bioteknologi Farmasi, Laboratorium Farmakologi Toksikologi, Laboratorium Kimia Farmasi, Medisinal, dan Bioanalisis, Laboratorium Komputasi Medik, Laboratorium Pengembangan Obat, dan Animal House.
Selain kegiatan perkuliahan belajar mengajar, mahasiswa Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia memiliki beberapa aktivitas lain, di antaranya mahasiswa berprestasi, kegiatan seni dan olahraga, kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat, dan lomba kefarmasian.
Halo semuanya, perkenalkan nama saya Muhammad Aska. Saya merupakan mahasiswa program studi sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia angkatan tahun 2018. Saya merasa bangga berkuliah di Fakultas Farmasi dan ini merupakan cita-cita saya dari dulu. Nah, selama berkuliah di Fakultas Farmasi, saya mendapatkan banyak benefit atau profit. Yang pertama ialah dosen-dosen yang sangat berkompeten di bidangnya masing-masing selama kegiatan belajar mengajar. Nah, kemudian fasilitas yang ditawarkan oleh Fakultas Farmasi cukup lengkap dan memadai. Kemudian, lingkungan yang ada di Fakultas Farmasi sangat kondusif bagi para mahasiswanya. Dan yang terakhir ialah karyawan yang ada di Fakultas Farmasi sangat membantu para mahasiswa dalam kegiatan belajar mengajar. Nah, harapan saya setelah saya lulus dari Fakultas Farmasi UI dan mendapatkan gelar sarjana serta apoteker, saya harap nantinya ilmu yang saya dapat berguna bagi masyarakat luas. Terima kasih.
Hai, saya Arif. Saya alumni program studi sarjana farmasi Fakultas Farmasi UI angkatan 2010. Saat ini saya sedang melanjutkan studi saya di program studi Magister Ilmu Kefarmasian Fakultas Farmasi UI. Sebagai alumni, saya merasa sangat bangga dan bersyukur sekali karena saya mendapatkan kesempatan untuk diajarkan oleh dosen-dosen yang sangat luar biasa dengan pengalaman dan riset yang juga sangat luar biasa. Dan selama saya berkuliah di sini, saya juga sangat terbantu oleh staf dan juga tendik yang sangat suportif. Dan tidak lupa di sini fasilitasnya juga sangat mendukung, baik itu untuk kuliah maupun untuk kegiatan penelitian saya. Pesan saya untuk adik-adik yang sedang berkuliah di program studi sarjana farmasi, tetap semangat dan tetap manfaatkan kesempatan kalian selagi berkuliah di sini, kembangkan diri kalian dan yakinlah bahwa masa depan telah menanti kalian.
Nah, untuk prospek kerja lulusan farmasi itu ada apa aja sih, Kak?
Jadi untuk prospek kerja farmasi itu sangat luas, teman-teman.
kalian bisa kerja di badan pemerintahan, contohnya Badan POM, Kemenkes, LIPI, Batan, maupun itu Bio Farma dan badan pemerintahan lainnya. Kalian juga bisa kerja di bidang industri apabila kalian lebih senang tuh dengan teknologi kefarmasian. Contohnya itu industri kosmetik, makanan, maupun obat-obatan. Contohnya itu ada Sanofi, GSK, dan lain-lain. Dan kalian apabila lebih menyukai ranah klinis, kalian dapat kerja di bidang rumah sakit dan apotek.
Program Studi Sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia menjadi program studi yang unggul, berdaya saing, serta berkontribusi bagi pembangunan masyarakat Indonesia.
Okay, welcome back to the next session. Now that all participants are back, we will continue to our fourth session, which is a panel discussion session.
Before the panel session, there will be a topic that will be delivered by Ms. Matsui Rie from Japan Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, JPMA, with the topic is Utilization of Risk Management Plan, and the title of her presentation is Hot Topics E-Labeling.
After the presentation session, there will be a panel discussion, which will be delivered by Mr. Kazuhiko Ishida from Japan Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, Ms. Rie Matsui from JPMA,
Ms. Akiho Kubo and Ms. Yuka Nozaka from PMDA, and Dr. Ryokan Funakoshi from Japanese Society of Hospital Pharmacists. This fourth session of the RMP Symposium will be moderated by Dr. Akiko Ogata as the Director Office of the International Program Pharmaceuticals and Medical Devices Agency, PMDA Japan. And without further ado, please warmly welcome Dr. Akiko Ogata for moderating this session.
Thank you very much for your introduction me. So I'm an officer of the PMDA, and I'm very glad to have this opportunity to moderate this session. So this is the last session today, is the session 4, the panel discussion. So let's start this session. So first, we'd like to have some presentation from Ms. Matsui, or that is a hot topic of the e-labeling. So please.
Mic is off. Okay. So let me speak about e-labeling. When we discuss e-labeling, we need to understand what the labeling documents are in the commercial pack. The first and the second picture were taken in Europe, and the paper labeling in the commercial pack is written for patient. The third picture was taken in the United States. The paper labeling in the commercial pack is written for healthcare professionals. Depending on that the countries, the pack may contains the healthcare professional information such as US, Japan, or patient information like Europe. In the majority of that Asian countries, a paper labeling in the commercial pack is written for healthcare professional labeling. So for a while, industry and regulatory authority have been focused on the contents of the labeling. But even though that content is excellent, if that customer do not read the content, it's not very helpful. So we may not have paid much attention as how the labeling is being accessed, used, understood, and adhered to in real life setting. We need to shift our mindset to pay closer attention to these circumstances. So in fact, the technology here, the e-labeling would be very helpful. Let me speak about the benefit of e-labeling. There are a lot of benefits. The one of the most important benefit is faster sharing new product information. The most up-to-date labeling information can be delivered to healthcare professionals and the patient. And it will take time to change the paper labeling in a commercial pack. Also, e-labeling have better readability and searchability, because in a paper labeling, usually that font size of the character is very small. And e-labeling can reduce the lead time to launch new product, especially for COVID-19 vaccine and therapeutic medicine. The lastly, of course, the elimination of the paper labeling is environment friendly. In fact, we have a good recent example of the e-labeling for COVID-19. For COVID-19 vaccine, instead of inserting the paper labeling, e-labeling has been introduced. The QR code is located on a carton, and then the customer can scan the QR code. It brings the user to the company COVID-19 landing page, and the labeling is available as a PDF from there. So that, in fact, the first 6 months, the labeling for COVID-19 vaccine has been updated approximately between 1 to 3 times per month. So if we delivered most up-to-date information is as a paper in a commercial pack, it is not possible to deliver. So e-labeling meets the challenge of the pandemic and is a critical method to deliver vaccine and medicine quickly and globally. Okay. And then I also would like to talk about what the e-labeling is. So e-labeling doesn't mean just providing a labeling as a PDF format by a QR code. So let me speak about what e-labeling is. Although there is no single universal definition of e-labeling, in general, there are 5 aspects. As a first important step, the latest product information is available online. Then, we should consider to improve accessibility with using QR code or GS1 barcode so that healthcare professional and the patient can access to the trusted labeling by a code on a pack. The other aspect is to eliminate the paper labeling from the commercial pack. Then we need to think about creating a structured contents of the labeling with using XML. Lastly, we should have interoperable labeling to exchange the labeling information between the systems, such as electronic medical record. According to the APAC e-labeling position paper, e-labeling is the availability of the latest approved product information electronically on a publicly accessible website by a smart device. E-labeling would be in a common structure format using global standard to allow efficient and seamless information flow among the stakeholders. So let me speak about more for that each factors. So in terms of the platform for e-labeling, there are 3 options: Health Authority website, company website, and external vendor website. Depending on the local situation, that which option would be best needed to be considered, that such kind of the things. The secondary, in terms of the accessibility, again, there are several options: URL, QR code, GS1 barcode, and GS1 data matrix. It is ideal that there should be a single, the reader-friendly accessibility code format printed on a package of the pharmaceutical product. The other thing is that removing the paper product information and replacing with the e-labeling is one of the goals for e-labeling implementation. But we acknowledge that removing that paper product information from commercial pack provide an advance in environment, sustainability, improve supply management, and allowed faster availability of the medicine to the patient. However, careful assessment should be taken into consideration before the paper label is removed. Step-by-step approach may be appropriate. And then, as for the advanced e-labeling, the structured contents of the labeling, such with using XML, which makes advanced search. That advanced search can be made if we have a structured contents of the labeling. And then lastly, the interoperable label should be considered to create, so that the product information can be shared across wearable, e-prescription, e-health record. And then the fast healthcare interoperability resource, which is HL7 Fire, has been actively discussed for e-labeling purpose recently. Again, step-by-step approach may be appropriate. Okay. And as you can see, this is quite busy slide, but what I wanted to tell you, e-labeling is really hot topic across region. E-labeling is also the current focus for organizations such as International Pharmaceutical Regulators Program, IPRP, and International Conference of the Drug Regulatory Authorities, ICDOR. Under the COVID-19 pandemic, various electronic labeling initiatives has been accelerated in the healthcare and the pharmaceutical field. Many countries have started to discuss e-labeling, especially in Asia. I'm excited to talk about the e-labeling in Asia in the next slide. But also in other regions, for example, in Europe, EMEA published EPI key principle in 2020 and initiated EPI setup project since 2021 and will start pilot study from this year. In Brazil, Anvisa have made proposal in their package material guidance that allowed product information to be made available by a digital mechanism. In Egypt, the EDA have issued a guidance that enable that availability of e-labeling on their platform. In Asian region, there are 3 countries that e-labeling has been implemented, which are Japan, Singapore, Malaysia. There are also 2 markets under the e-labeling pilot, Korea and Taiwan. However, more and more markets have been started or will start pilot or implementation for e-labeling, including Indonesia, Thailand. In Japan, in December 2019, Pharmaceutical and Medical Device Act was amended to introduce e-labeling officially, replacing the paper labeling and accompanying necessary scheme that enable all healthcare professionals access the up-to-date labeling. The enhancement of the amendment was implemented in 2021, and then the paper labeling will be removed by the end of July this year. In Singapore, HSA issues finalized guidance on e-labeling of therapeutic product has been published and has taken from April 2021. It is voluntary for company to implement e-labeling where physical label need not be distributed with a pack. In Malaysia, MPRA issues the guidance on e-labeling for pharmaceutical products in April 2023, and it was effective since 1st of May. The labeling for both HCP and the patient is available electronically via machine-readable QR code on their outer carton, and it linked to NPRA Quest 3 Plus system. The scope of the product is pharmaceutical product for human use, and again, it is voluntary for company to implement e-labeling. In Korea, KMFDS issues the e-labeling guidance, pilot guidance. In December 2022, e-labeling pilot project of pharmaceuticals has been started from 2023. The target products are injections only used in medical institute. So as you can see, there are a lot of progress of e-labeling in Asian region. As Dr. Uzu already explained, but in the e-labeling system in Japan, MAH provides e-labeling in PDF and XML format, and e-labeling is uploaded on the PMDA website, and then there is a GS1 barcode on carton, and HCP scan the code via app, and it is linked to PMDA website. An app for healthcare professionals has been developed by Industry Association and GS1 Japan. So all healthcare professionals do not need to download each company app. That is quite advantage. And if needed, the MAH has to provide the paper labeling to the healthcare professional, but it is not in a commercial pack. Okay, this is my last slide. The e-labeling should be integrated into the digital health in the future. If e-labeling would be linked to electronic medical record, e-prescription, and health literacy materials, the personalized labeling would be shown to the patient. So if that patient has a complication and needed to be careful when taking the medicine, the relevant precaution will show up or highlight. In the future, patient may be able to give the feedback via e-labeling system. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Matsui. And I believe we have gained new information, such as the potential of e-labeling, especially in Asia. So today, as a panelist, I invited 5 persons. I'd like to hear frank opinions from the perspective of industries that are creators of RMP and administrative authorities that are reviewer of the RMP, and the experts from the medical institution that are user of the RMP. So I prepared some materials to facilitate this session.
slide again. So this one. No. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I prepared the 3 questions to facilitate this panel discussion. So the question 1 is what do you place importance of in the development of labeling and RMP? And question 2, what are the differences between ASEAN countries and Japan and RMP and labeling, if any? And question 3, what is expected in the future in RMP and labeling? Okay, let's start by discussing the question 1. So what do you think are important in creating labeling and RMP? So even though you have seen the established labeling and RMP, you have never heard how the labeling and RMP was created and what they worried about. So I've heard that each company has its own company core data sheet and core RMP for each product. Based on these, they will prepare labeling and RMP for each country in accordance with the regulations of each country. So I'd like to ask the panelists from industries about the actual situation in this area first. So Ms. Ishida, could you give some comments on this?
Well, as I mentioned in my presentation, the companies create local RMPs based on the core RMPs and the regulatory requirement in each country or region. And according to the authorities' specific request, we modify and finalize the local RMPs. The local RMP, the deviation from core RMPs are recorded and managed in the companies. In the case of Japanese RMP, draft RMPs is submitted to PMDA at the time of application for approval, and the safety specifications, pharmacovigilance activities, and risk minimization activities are determined while communicating closely with PMDA during the review process. Regarding the additional risk minimization measures, we will plan effective and feasible activities and materials while listening to the opinion from the healthcare professional and in some cases the patient. Anyway, we believe that the communication with related stakeholders are so important. Yeah, that's my comment.
So thank you. Regarding the RMPs, it's give the great effort to creating the RMP. So how about the labeling? So.
Sure. Ideally, the local labeling also should be updated based on the CCDS, like core RMP from the industry perspective. However, as I mentioned in my presentation, the reality is some market follow the reference country labeling depending on that product. The situation is more complicated, and as for that, the key point to consider, creating and updating the labeling, I think there are 2 points that are particularly important, especially in the safety revisions. The first point is speed. In other words, the labeling should be updated in a timely manner. The company prepare the updated labeling and submit to the regulatory authorities. The regulatory authority reviewed and approved the updated labeling. That updating labeling should be delivered to user. So it is important that this series of law should be proceed appropriately without the delay. So this is important in terms of that ensuring patient safety, which is common goal for the regulatory authorities and industry. And in order to achieve that common goal, the regulatory authority and the industry should closely collaborate as a joint effort. The recent e-labeling initiative in some countries in the Asian region have also contributed to the patient safety in terms of the promptly delivering the most up-to-date product information. The second point is to provide the patient with product information in an easy to understand content, format, and method. In some Asian countries, HCP labeling are delivered to patients as well. That HCP labeling have many technical terms and difficult for patients to understand. And even the patient product information may have some difficult expression. The purpose is not just to provide product information to patient, but to maximize patient safety and treatment outcome by ensuring that the patient can understand and product information and adhere the product information appropriately. So as mentioned, it is important to provide the patient product information which is written in patient-friendly terms. Both regulators and the company can efficiently create product information for patient if there is a patient-friendly dictionary. The PMDA has developed the patient-friendly dictionary and has been providing it to company for quite some time.
Thank you. So I understand not only regulators but also the industry side also struggling with some issues creating the RMP and labeling. So I'd like to ask the point of view from the reviewers. So how about Ms. Kubo?
As Mr. Ishida and Ms. We thought that PMDA also agrees that it's important to communicate with medical institute and also healthcare professional and patient and also stakeholder. So when the PMDA reviews the RMP, we always try to think the contents of the RMP, it makes those people understand easily. So yeah, that's the point of the important thing to review the RMP and also package insert.
You have an additional comment from
I would like to add the patient participation. Could you show the guidance, the slide for guidance? Thank you, Dr. Ogata. This is a PMDA guidance for patient participation. Recently, we try to cooperate with patient, especially patient group. This is as I said to you, this is a PMDA guidance for the patient participation. This is already put on the PMDA website since 2021. So, for example, last year we made the patient leaflet, with a rare disease patient group last year. So, gradually we try to increase this type of the patient participation. That is a new concept.
Thank you. So the RMP and labeling is mainly used in the medical practice. So I'd like to ask the Dr. Funakoshi, his participate remotely. So what aspect of the labeling and RMP are being utilized in the actual clinical situation? So, and what point need to be improved? Dr. Funakoshi, what do you think about it?
はい、ありがとうございます。日本の RMP では、医療機関の薬剤師がリスクをすぐ理解できるように、冒頭に表紙にですね、簡易版の RMP のエッセンスが分かるような表紙がついています。そのため医療機関で忙しく働いている医師、薬剤師、看護師とかは、それをパッと一目で見て、すぐにその副作用等と同定することができるので、非常にそれが使い勝手がいいです。あと医療機関としての要望についてですが、RMP のリスクで記載されている項目はあくまでなんとか障害とか、肝機能障害みたいな、基本的にはリスクが表記されているので、副作用の症状が記載されているわけではないです。そこはリスク、企業としてはリスクをビジランスとしてモニタリングしていきたいと思いますが、現場で先にまず初期症状を発見するのは、副作用の症状名がそこにある程度書かれていると、どちらにとってもいいのかなと思います。そうするとリスク、PV 活動もリスク最小活動をするにあたって使いやすい RMP になるのかなと思います。以上です。
Yes, thank you very much for the question. And in Japan, so for this RM risk management plan, so in a medical institution and pharmacists can immediately understand the risk involved. And then, so on the first screen, so there is a simplified and easy to understand RPM at the first glance, and it is so easy to understand it. And because medical staff members, including doctors and pharmacists and nurses, are working so busily, so it is easy for them to understand, to see the screen of the simplified RPM in this way. So they can understand what are the ADRs, and this is good point. And as for the request at the medical institution, and the items indicated in RPM, and usually like some disorder, for example, a disorder in liver. So in this case, basically there are risks that are indicated in the RMP, not the ADR themselves. And of course, it would be good for a company to conduct a vigilance to indicate the risks. But in the clinical setting, and we usually see the initial symptoms for the ADR, and to a certain degree, so those symptoms that would be shown, which would be better for both sides, so medical setting and companies. And regardless, so just what I just mentioned, so in terms of the TB activities and also risk minimization activities, I think this request would be preferable to be implemented. That's all.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Funakoshi. So just share this slide. This is recorded from the Dr. Uzu's presentation. So Dr. Funakoshi mentioned about the summary of JRMP, so which works as a content list. I believe it's user-friendly. So actually that have been introduced by HPC's request in Japan. So he requests us more user-friendly to this content, including the symptoms of the side of adverse effect. Okay, so I think it's a very valuable opportunity to hear what thought in the clinical practice. So labeling and RMP are both used in the clinical situation. So I believe it is our mission of industries and regulatory authorities to accurately understand what the user feels and to create better materials based on this understanding. Okay, now let's move on to the yes, so the second question. So do you see any differences between ASEAN countries and Japan in terms of RMP and labeling? So if so, what do you think? So first I'd like to ask panelists from industry have had experience both in Japan and ASEAN in creating labeling and RMP. So have you noticed any differences between Japan and ASEAN countries, Mr. Ishida?
In ASEAN, the many countries can only accept the EU, the European RMP due to the regulation. And some countries can also accept Japanese RMPs. However, in the case of the product for which only Japanese RMPs are created, there are some cases where the Japanese RMPs are accepted through negotiation with the regulatory affairs. In general, the EU RMP tend to be preferred. The EU RMP certainly has the advantage of containing a lot of source information, but instead, it's a volume of several hundred pages. Therefore, there is a negative aspect that it's difficult to see and find the information you want. On the other hand, the Japanese RMP has the necessary information compactly summarized, and the volume is about 20 to 30 pages. I strongly recommend the utilization of the Japanese RMP in your countries as a reference document, which is summarized in any easy to understand manner.
So how about the labeling?
Thank you. I think that there are various differences in labeling between ASEAN countries and Japan. May I ask that audience in this room, if you agreed, could you please raise your hand? That I think that there are various differences in the labeling between ASEAN countries and Japan. If you agreed, could you please raise your hands? Oh.
Thank you for your agreement. So honestly speaking, I'm thinking that not only just between ASEAN countries and Japan, but also between Japan and emerging market in Asia, and even outside Asia. So there are differences. As mentioned earlier, it is important to proceed with the vision of the safety-related labeling in a timely manner. That is a common sort of agreement, I believe. So in Japan, PMDA shows that the standard timeline for labeling review, and so the company can predict when when our proposed revision will be approved. It is useful from that transparency perspective. In addition, in Japan, as I mentioned, E11 initiative have been implemented officially, and removal of the paper labeling from the commercial pack will be done by end of July. So it will ensure and be accelerated to deliver the most up-to-date information to users in timely manner. And after the revision proposal, after that proposed revision is approved, the revised labeling is promptly uploaded to the PMDA website, and we think that it is important to consider about the timeline until the actual deliver to users. By the way, in Japan, a national labeling template is used for all product information for that prescription medicine. And the same sections and same order of that section are used. In ASEAN countries, in general, the template of that reference label may be used. So therefore, the section name and section order may be different, even though within the same market. It may be difficult to use that same template due to the shared labeling or takeout pack and so on at this moment. However, could you please think about the future if or when e-labeling is implemented and structured contents of the labeling are implemented without paper labeling in a pack. The labeling would be probably easier to understand and used for patient if the same template is used in countries. So in the future, maybe that is the one of that point to consider.
Thank you, Ms. Matsui. And so, have PMD reviewers noticed any differences?
I want to give additional information to the time schedule to revise the package insert. And PMDA prepared some slide as a reference. This slide shows the flow chart from the receiving various report to the revisions of the electronic package insert. And left side, the time schedule is shown. So I'm sorry the slide is so busy, so if you want to know more information, you can access to the URL below. So PMDA and also our marketing authorization holder check this slide, check this schedule, and try to revise the package insert speedily. And also next slide is the revision of the package insert in detail. I think its time is limited, so I just show this slide and I don't explain in detail. So I want to talk about the next slide.
Thank Thank you. And PMDA also passed to the investigation document on the PMDA website, and you can see the English version as well. And the next slide shows the investigation documents. Yeah, and this is one of the example of the investigation document. And what I want to tell you this slide is when we write down the documents, we also write the evidence to why we should revise the package insert. And this slide shows there is some cases which there's a relationship between the drug and certain adverse reaction. So we should revise the package insert. And it's just one example for the document, but you can see why we need to provide the information of the adverse reaction. So I think it's really clear to understand for not only the healthcare professional and also patients.
Thank you, Ms. Kubo. So, do you have any additional comments from Nozaka? No? Okay. So, as you know, there are some differences between each country, so such as a medical system. So therefore, it may become necessary to adapt the labeling and RMP so in response to the medical system of each country. And as for RMP, there is a basic concept of ICH-E2E presented as a guideline. So according to this, it is important to important to implement the necessary minimize modifications and to share the information with regulatory authorities as soon as possible if a new signal is found and or if a risk is identified. So, so far, we've heard experts' opinion about the current status of labeling and RMP. So, now, I'd like to ask the audience for some questions to all panelists at this point. So, if you have some questions or comments, please raise your hand. And I also ask the online participants for questions. Do you have any questions? So I believe this is a very good opportunity to ask directly for each perspective. Okay, nothing?
Good afternoon. I am Leslie from the Philippine FDA. I would just like to ask regarding the e-labels. You said before, are the e-labels downloadable from the website? And if yes, how would you guarantee that the e-labels will not be used to reproduce a label for a counterfeit product? Because from our country, counterfeit products cannot be is somewhat rampant. That's why we're asking if the guarantee, or how will you assure that the e-labels will not be reproduced as a label for a counterfeit product?
sorry, so there's a very big echo, so I cannot hear it. So could you repeat again? So I'm so sorry.
How would you guarantee that the e-labels will not be used to reproduce a label for a counterfeit product?
Thank you for asking your question. So your question is that how make sure that e-labeling is implemented on a website?
No, my question is, if the e-labels can be downloaded from the website, how would you secure or guarantee that the e-labels will not be used to reproduce a new label for a counterfeit product?
So let me share that that our Japanese case, when that the labeling is updated, and then the company submits that approved labeling to the PMDA website, and then the both sides, PMDA and MAH, make sure that most up-to-date and approved labeling is uploaded on that website, and then that the link is also make sure to that GS1 barcode. So the company needs to make sure that the right information is linked to the GS1 barcode. Did I answer your questions?
Yes, I would just like to add that maybe because Japan is really advanced regarding this one, and one of our issues and concerns in our country is that some of the market authorization holders are not yet sure due to the confidentiality of the labels, because as much as we want to implement the e-labels in our country, the companies from our country is not that sure if they could maintain the confidentiality, if they would be able to prevent the reproduction of counterfeit products using that labels that are downloadable from the website. That's one of our issues in our country today.
So in terms of that labeling, the labeling is official approved document, and then it's not confidential document. So no need to have the other confidential agreement in order to publish the labeling.
Yes, because I understand that, but they are afraid that the labels that they will be posting in the website will be used in another counterfeit products. That's why in our country it's one of our concerns on how to implement that e-labeling. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that your concern. So, e-labeling is still evolving, and it's still new for almost everyone. So, important thing is that, depending on the market, there are some differences, and then need to consider how to address that such kind of the concern. Not only that, industry level, but regulators, even in healthcare professional and the patient. So let's continue to discuss. So thank you so much for sharing your concern.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so the e-labeling is now still involved. So do you have any question from the audience? Okay, so let's move into the last question, question 3. Okay, so finally, I'd like to move on the last question. So, what do you expect from RMP and labeling in the future? So, first, I'd like to ask Dr. Funakoshi. So could you give some comments from academic or clinical practice perspective?
はい、まず、各国の、RMP の部分についてですが、EU の RMP を参照にする際には人種差を、考える必要があると思います。
So first of all, yes. So as for the portions for RPM in each country, I think that it is necessary to consider the differences in basis when referring to EU RPM.
例えば、RMP の各項目に、コア RMP にも記載されているのか、それとも、各国の RMP のみに記載されているかの、そういった部分が、違いが分かるように記載されていると、医療現場のスタッフが、確認取りやすくなると思います。以上です。
And for example, so I'm going to give you one example. And when this in each item in RPM, so are there any descriptions of core RPM or just RPM in each country is only shown? And if there was a difference to be shown on the RPM, medical staff members working at the clinical setting, so will be easier to identify. That's my comment.
Thank you very much, Dr. Funakoshi. So yeah, so even in the adverse effect, sometimes we have some ethnic differences, and so or enzyme for that kind of difference we need to pay attention. So how about the industry perspective, Mr. Ishida?
Well, in Japan, I believe that the very high quality RMPs and the additional risk minimization measures are created by communicating with many stakeholders, including the regulatory affairs and the HCPs and patient and also the companies. I encourage you to strengthen the communication with stakeholders when creating the local RMPs and additional risk minimization measures in your country. And again, the Japanese RMP has necessary information compactly summarized. And please use Japanese RMP as a reference document in your country. That's my message.
Yes, looking to the future, from an industry perspective, it would be more and more important to provide patients with latest product information that is easy to understand and use, and that can improve adherence. The content of that patient product information should be developed, taking into account the health literacy, and the technology should be used to provide personalized product information that is tailored to the patient and improved patient adherence. So also it is getting more and more important to empower the patient, citizen in healthcare and pharmaceutical sectors. And lastly, I believe it is essential for industry, regulatory authorities, and other stakeholders to cooperate closely to save the patient safety. Thank you.
Thank you. So what about from the reviewer's perspective?
I want to add one comment. In Japan, like Dr. Funakashi told that the RMP is used well in the community center. However, some survey shows that some medical centers cannot have a system to use RMP, or there's no system to provide other material to the patient or healthcare professional. I think it's more important the communication with the marketing authorization holder and medical healthcare professional. And we talk closely and what is a problem to provide those information well, and how to solve the problem. So I think we still continue to discuss and what is the best way to provide safety information. So yeah, we always try to do our best.
My comment is actually in Japan, the labeling is more prevalent rather than the JRMP. So what's the difference, the labeling and between the labeling and RMP? I think the good point of RMP is we can check the ongoing activity in that product. For example, this post-marketing surveillance is still conducted or already terminated, so we can check. So RMP is a living document. That is definitely it's a good point of RMP. So that's why I hope the RMP is more prevalent among the medical institutions, doctors, and patients. Hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. So the last, do you have any questions? So this is the last opportunity to ask. Do anyone have question? Even in online? No? Okay. Oh.
Thank you for the second opportunity. My question is, I want to ask about technically in electronic labeling. So when we have the case about if manufacturer had revision about the information in labeling, so is that would be updated in barcode in the pack of the drugs. So if the case is like this, so in Japan they still have a paper-based labeling and paper labeling and electronic labeling. They have two methods. So when the case is manufacturer has revision about the information in electronic labeling, and then the drugs had been distributed to population, what if the revision of the electronic labeling had different information with the paper labeling? So what is the solution of this case? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So that is really important question as well. So in fact, the paper labeling in the commercial pack may have previous version of the labeling. As I said, that it takes time to insert that most up-to-date information in the commercial pack, even though the company and regulatory authority try to
implement as much as possible, as soon as possible. So e-labeling, I mean, like Japan, so we have decided to remove the paper labeling from the commercial pack. So after the July 2023 this year, in general, that there is no paper labeling in the commercial pack. So, I mean, that there is no paper labeling in the commercial pack. So then there is no differences because that most up-to-date information is available by from the PMDA website, the only one. But there are some markets, especially under the pilot study. So even though the labeling is available in an electronic way, but that paper label is still in there, then there are some, the differences. So the one of the solution may be, that the creation should be on the other, the website and the paper labeling. So for example, on the paper labeling, so could you please look at the most, if you, in terms of the most up-to-date information, could you please look at the WWPT URL should be in there. That is one of the solutions. Maybe better solution may be there. So that again, it is still new. Okay, so let's continue, making better solution together. Did I answer your questions?
Thank you. So there is a time to close. So I believe both labeling and RMP are essential documents to ensure that the minimum information required for medical use is provided clearly and concisely to communicate with busy healthcare professionals and to maximize the benefit and minimize the risk of the drug to the patient. I hope you had a time to think about what you can do to create and provide these materials in a better way from your own standpoints. So creating better materials and providing in a better way cannot be accomplished by the company alone or by a regulator alone. So I believe that the better form can be created more easily when all stakeholders, including HCPs and the patients, collaborate across countries and regions. Although the time for the panel discussion was limited, I hope that today's discussion will provide some hints for your own work tomorrow. And now I'd like to close this session. Thank you very much for active participation in this session. So I give the microphone to MC.
Thank you for all speakers for sharing your expertise in this fourth session. Very intriguing discussion for us. And thank you to Dr. Akiko Ogata for leading the fourth session.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, participants, ladies and gentlemen, now we will proceed with the last session of the day, which is the closing remarks. We are now going to listen to the closing speech that will be delivered by the Dean of the Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Indonesia, Profesor Dr. Apoteker Arianwar Magister Science. To Profesor Dr. Apoteker Arianwar, we welcome you.
Our honorable guest, the Senior Executive Director of PMDA, Japan, Dr. Uzi Shinobu, the Director for Drug, Narcotic, Psychotropic, Precursor and Addictive Substance Standardization, Dr. Anda Apoteker Tri Asti Isnariani M.Pharm, all the honorable guests, Vice Dean, and faculty manager of Universitas Indonesia, regulators, industries, and all lecturers. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express my appreciation to our financial supporter, Japan ASEAN Integration Fund, and honorable partners from Indonesia FDA and PMDA Japan for your contribution on today's occasion, and ASEAN-Japan Risk Management Plan 2023. My deepest gratitude goes to all who attended the symposium and helped to make it such a successful event. It is an honor for me and the Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Indonesia, to be trusted for the second time as the implementing agency together with Indonesia FDA, BPOM RI, and the Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Agency, PMDA Japan, for the ASEAN-Japan Risk Management Plan Symposium and Seminar 2022 and 2023. The entire of this event focuses on advancing the harmonization of pharmaceutical regulations regarding drug product. Harmonization and pharmaceutical regulation plays an important role in removing technical barriers in drug trade without compromising drug quality or safety. Effective and safe medicines are essential to improving public health, so it is the responsibility of world regulators to ensure rapid and appropriate access. Therefore, global harmonization of technical regulatory requirements for drug product approval and cooperation amongst regulatory authorities is essential for efficient product review and exchange of safety information. The risk management plan is a breakthrough developed by International Council for Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Pharmaceutical for Human Use, or ICH, to provide information on drug safety profiles. Following days, Thursday to Friday, 25th and 26th May 2023, the ASEAN-Japan Risk Management Plan, or RMP, Seminar 2023 will be held. This seminar has the same focus as the symposium, namely regarding the latest information regarding the risk management plan as an official regulation. The seminar on risk management plan will be attended by regulatory staff of ASEAN member states. Through this event, we hope that we can provide a forum for discussing and sharing information about important and up-to-date regulation regarding the risk management plans to regulators, industry, and academic. Hopefully, the purpose of this event will be achieved and provide benefit for all of us and have a good impact on society. In order to support the progress of drug regulation in Indonesia, the Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Indonesia plans to immediately open a pharmacy master study programs in specialization of regulatory science in collaboration with PMDA Japan and Tokyo University. With the specialization in regulatory science, we hope that it can become a means of learning and exploring knowledge for all regulators in Indonesia and even around the world, minimally in ASEAN. Finally, we thank you for your participation in this event. We hope that this event can provide an interesting experience and useful information for all of us. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Dr. Apoteker Arya Nuar, MSc, for the closing remarks.
Honorable guests, speakers, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of today's event. I hope everyone enjoyed the presentations and gained valuable insights from our speakers.
Before we wrap up, I would like to remind you to complete the feedback form that will be provided to you at the link s.id/symposium_satisfaction_survey as displayed at the stage. Your feedback is important to us and it will help us to improve our future events.
Before we parted, I would also like to remind all seminar participants from each ASEAN member state that tomorrow's event, the RMP Seminar 2023, will be started at 9:30 a.m. Indonesian time, and seminar participant registration will be started at 8:30 a.m. at Jasmine 1 room meeting. Air flight reimbursement and per diem cost will be given by tomorrow, Thursday 25th May 2023 at Jasmine room 2 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Finally, we have now come to the end of our symposium. On behalf of the host and organizing committee, we would like to take this opportunity to extend once again our deepest appreciation to the VIPs and all honorable guests for sparing your time to participating in this RMP symposium today.
We would also like to thank our distinguished speakers for sharing their expertise and knowledge with us, and for our moderators to lead all the sessions so that the symposium would run smoothly. Your contributions have made the symposium a success.
We would also like to acknowledge that this project on ASEAN-Japan Risk Management Plan is supported by the government of Japan through the Japan-ASEAN Integration Fund, JAIF. Without their support, this symposium would not have been possible.
Furthermore, we would like to thank to our organizing committee from Universitas Indonesia, Indonesian FDA, Pharmaceuticals and Medical Devices Agency, PMDA Japan, ASEAN Secretariat, JAIF Management Team or JMT, and everyone involved in the Japan-ASEAN Integration Fund, JAIF project, for their hard work and dedication in making the symposium a reality. Your efforts have ensured the smooth running of this event.
Lastly, we would like to thank our participants, both online and in person, for your attendance and active participation. Your questions and comments have added value to the discussion.
Once again, we would like to thank you for the productive and inspiring time together. We hope this symposium has provided you with valuable insights and opportunities for networking.
I am Rizni.
And I am Arif.
We are signing off.
Becoming a pharmacist is my destiny. Being there for people is a must in this job. But it is not that simple. It all started from Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Indonesia, the place where I learned. Everything that I learned at the Faculty of Pharmacy Universitas Indonesia keep inspiring me to be forever dedicated.
Farmasi UI didirikan sebagai jurusan dalam naungan Fakultas Ilmu Pasti dan Ilmu Alam atau FIPIA UI pada tahun 1965 di Jalan Diponegoro, Jakarta Pusat. Farmasi UI berpindah lokasi ke Salemba pada tahun 1968. Pada tahun 1982, FIPIA UI berubah nama menjadi Fakultas Matematika dan Ilmu Pengetahuan Alam atau yang dikenal dengan FMIPA. Pada tahun 1986, Farmasi UI berpindah ke kampus UI Depok. Pada tahun 2005, jurusan Farmasi UI menjadi Departemen Farmasi FMIPA UI. Pada tahun 2011, Departemen Farmasi FMIPA UI menjadi Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia. Dan pada tanggal 29 November ditetapkan sebagai Hari Dies Natalis Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia. Farmasi adalah ilmu yang mempelajari tentang identifikasi, seleksi, preservasi, kombinasi, aksi farmakologi, analisis, dan standarisasi obat dan bahan obat, serta cara distribusi, penyimpanan, dan penggunaan yang tepat dan aman.
Visi dari program studi sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia adalah menjadi program studi sarjana farmasi yang unggul dan terkemuka di tingkat nasional dan regional. Sedangkan misi dari program studi sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia adalah yang pertama, menyelenggarakan pendidikan dan pengajaran berbasis riset yang berkualitas di bidang farmasi. Kedua, menyelenggarakan kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat yang relevan dengan bidang farmasi untuk memenuhi kebutuhan masyarakat. Yang ketiga, menciptakan iklim akademik yang mampu mendukung perwujudan visi program studi sarjana farmasi Universitas Indonesia. Program studi sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia terdiri dari 1. Program studi sarjana kelas reguler. Kedua, program studi sarjana kelas paralel. Ada berbagai jenis fasilitas laboratorium yang terdapat pada Prodi Sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia yang terdiri dari Laboratorium Farmasetika Steril, Laboratorium Mikrobiologi dan Bioteknologi Farmasi, Laboratorium Farmakologi Toksikologi, Laboratorium Kimia Farmasi, Medisinal, dan Bioanalisis, Laboratorium Komputasi Medik, Laboratorium Pengembangan Obat, dan Animal House.
Selain kegiatan perkuliahan belajar mengajar, mahasiswa Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia memiliki beberapa aktivitas lain, di antaranya mahasiswa berprestasi, kegiatan seni dan olahraga, kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat, dan lomba kefarmasian.
Halo semuanya, perkenalkan nama saya Muhammad Aska. Saya merupakan mahasiswa program studi sarjana Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Indonesia angkatan tahun 2018. Saya merasa bangga berkuliah di Fakultas Farmasi dan ini merupakan
Becoming a pharmacist is my destiny. Being there for people is a must in this job. But it is not that simple. It all started from Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Indonesia, the place where I learned